If this video helps you catch more fish this spring, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and God bless. Alright, so this is your basic Paylake pay pond setup. So you got your floater. I like to use a 3/8 or ½ ounce sinker with a swivel right here, and about a 5 to 6 aught hook with mono. So let's say we have a blue cat, and say they get schooled up right, and they get several of them. When you find where they're schooled up at, they're gonna swim. They'll swim into your line, and what you do is you just troll. You'll take like one crank every 5 minutes till you see and you'll just let it sit there, and you'll wait till your line. When you got it on a rod stand, I'll draw a rod stand over here. So, and that line will have a little swoop to it like that. Whenever that line picks up and it starts to get straight and tight, that's a fish swimming in your line. That's how you want to find your fish. You got fish bottom too in this method. So you fish bottom, you wait for your line to stretch, and when it starts to stretch out, this when you see that line start to pick up, that's a fish in your line. And there's a thing called soft bite too. Sometimes they'll just barely pick it up with their mouth. They'll just barely stretch it, and it won't look like it's a good solid bite, but they actually have it in their mouth, and if you jerk on it, you'll hook it. That's the first method. Also, a lot of times when I'm trolling, I can't really show this on this smart board here, but a lot of times when I'm trolling, right, I'll have my rod on my rod stand. When I'll give it, usually I give it about a crank and a half to 2 cranks when I'm trolling, and I'll just let it sit there. But whenever I'm trolling, I'm watching my fallback. I'm watching the line. If that line stays out there longer than normal, that's either a fish or it just got deeper. So if this is your bottom right here, and then it gets deeper like that, and then there's a little trench right there, that line, when you get that line down here, it will actually, your line on your rod holder right here will actually stay out longer, and then that's how you know you're getting deeper. And then sometimes you reel on something tight, that might be a piece of structure, or sometimes there'll be like a piece of structure, like a wall or something right here, and it'll get real tight because you're reeling up over top of that. Now, next method, it's not. You find fish a lot better like this, but the next method, it helps you catch fish that are suspended up in the water column. And this method here, if there's any fish in that area, you will be able to detect them because it's on straight bottom. When the fish just swim through your line, it makes you look like you're getting a bite. So. This one here, you want to use a bigger, you want to use a bigger floater, and you just want that top of it to just barely stick out about 1 inch or 2 out of the water. And what you do here, say we're fishing a 10-foot pond. There's different methods to this stuff too. But you want your longer leader. There's a sinker. We'll say that's a swivel. And here's your hook. So you got this, and you kind of just want it to barely drag the bottom too, if you can. when you're dragging bottom with this more suspended style, you'll notice your floater will actually, it won't be 1 to 2, when it's 1 to 2 inch, I think is a 12-inch WBC floater, and I use I believe is 1.5 ounce sinkers, big sinkers. You gotta use the big sinkers to get this thing to work right. But the big sinkers, that's gonna keep that line a lot more tight, and whenever a fish swims into one of them big sinkers, when one of them blue cats or shoalhead swimming that line on the big sinker, your bobber, you gotta watch your bobber. So that's another reason why I prefer the bottom method, is because you're watching your line, which is a lot closer to you. But when you watch your bobber, if you're fishing way out there, it's hard to watch that 1 to 2 inches, that bobber or glow stick, it'll wag back and forth like that, and that's how you know you're in some fish. But you don't have to drag bottom with this method. You can have that suspended up higher, and it'll still work, and you'll still be able to find where the fish are active and swimming at. And once you find that, you just want to let it sit. You want to find the area and let it sit, and then if you're not getting no bites, you just come up in the water column with it a little bit to where the bait, you got to present the bait and try to put the bait right in front of the fish's mouth to catch them, to be successful. But when you got your hook on bottom, you want a longer leader, about like a 3-foot leader with this method. And when you got your hook on bottom, and it's more like, I'll draw it out from here, but it's sort of more something like this. So that's your hook. So it's going to be more dragon bottom, something more like that right there. And I noticed with my setups, my floater, when I'd be dragging, it actually, instead of 1 to 2 inches, it actually come up and be up in the air, suspended like that. Not suspended, but it'd stick out a lot more when I was dragging bottom. And then whenever I'd come to like a deep hole, whenever it dropped down and get deep, my floater, it'd be upright, and I'd be dragging, and then once I get down this deep hole, it'd drop down to 1 to 2 inches. So that floater would go from sticking way up here, and then as soon as I drop down that hole and it quit touching bottom, it dropped down. And that's another method of finding deeper holes, is to find the bottom and then watch your floater dip down. If you're dragging like this method, this suspended method, then you have to have that hook on bottom though. The trick is to have the hook on bottom, have a long leader, hook on bottom, and your sinker up off bottom, and that's how you get that effect of that bobber sticking up. If it's not dragging bottom, then it's not. And then also if the sinker's dragging bottom, a lot of times that's why I like using the WBC, because they'll let me know my sinker's on bottom, that bobber will just lay down straight flat like that. So I know that. But this is just a couple helpful ideas to help you guys in the 2020 season.